Hello, I am Dr. B.B. Rao of Usha Clinic and founder of the websites umedicaldoubts.blogspot.in and Dr. Raghava Medical Doubts.in. In these videos, I am providing the basic knowledge about the commonly occurring diseases for the knowledge of the general people and for the basic knowledge of medicos. Today, I am going to discuss about the placenta and cord anomalies and diseases. Anomalies of placenta may be of size, form, number, and position. Anomalies of size. The normal size of the placenta is about 500 milligrams. In some cases, it is very small and may arrest the growth of the fetus. The placenta may be hypertrophied. The weight may be up to 1 kg, may cause the fetus to be large. A relative increase in weight of the placenta may occur in certain diseases as syphilis, erythroblastosis, and diabetes. Placenta membranaceae. Here the placenta extends over the greater portion of the whole of the chorionic surface and increases the area, results in the formation of a thin and membranous placenta. It tends to become placenta previa, results in antepartum hemorrhage. Rare, but if present, may cause a postpartum hemorrhage in third stage of labor, and manual removal may be necessary. Anomalies of form. Lobate placenta. In this placenta is in the form of two or more lobes and called bipartite, tripartite, etc. depending on the number of lobes. There is a single cord attached to the placenta which divides into constituent elements, and the vessels from each of these lobes finally unite to form the umbilical vessel. Placenta fenestrata. Placenta fenestrata is more solutions of continuity in the substance of the placenta through which the chorion is visible. Horseshoe placenta. Due to its shape as horseshoe, it is named so. The problem with these forms is partial detachment and postpartum hemorrhage. Anomalies of number of placenta. Placenta succenturiata. Commonest form of this type. As many as half dozen of these lobes may be found within a single uterus. In this stage of labor, the succenturiate lobe may retain in the uterus and may cause primary or secondary postpartum hemorrhage. Saperemia may also result in the purpura, and later the succenturiate lobe may give rise to the formation of a placental polyp, causing severe and prolonged hemorrhage. A careful examination of placenta and the membranes after they have expelled from the uterus will help the diagnosis of retention. The findings are a small round area of deficit short distance from the placental margin. Torn vessels are found extending from the placenta to the margins of the tear in the membranes. When a missing lobe is diagnosed, it is better to explore the uterus and remove the lobe. Otherwise, secondary postpartum hemorrhage, infection, subinvolution, and later a placental polypus may result. Anomalies of relationship. There may be abnormalities of relationship between the placenta membranes or the cord. Battledore placenta. The cord is attached to the margin of the placenta. Placenta marginata or placenta accumulata. The chorion is attached to within the placenta itself a little distance away from the margin, so that a portion of the placenta is present beyond the attachment of the membranes. The clinical significance is the amnion and chorion are adherent, and after birth a portion of the membrane may be felt left behind. In complete detachment, retention of placenta and atonic postpartum hemorrhage are usually assessed. With circumvallate placenta, antepartum hemorrhage is likely to occur. The baby and the height of the uterus is smaller related to the period of amenorrhea. There may be intermittent bleeding with watery discharge in between. Anomalies of position. Placenta previa. Usually position of the placenta is upper uterine segment on anterior or posterior surface of the uterus or fundus itself. When the placenta is wholly or partially situated in the lower uterine segment, the placenta previa. Disease of the placenta. Pathological conditions may affect the fetus, main or infarcts. Infarcts are seen normal placenta but are larger in toxemia, hypertension, vascular disease, chronic renal disease, and cardiac disease, etc. When excessive, they give rise to fetal anoxia. Placentitis. The inflammation of the placenta is rare and may be acute or chronic. It is usually due to extension of the infection from the decidua due to the exacerbation of an infection of the pyogenic nature like gonorrhea or intrapartum infections. In tuberculosis of placenta, caseating tubercles may be scattered chiefly in the decidua, and it is rare. Syphilis is common and is the common cause of fetal death, retained or adherent placenta. The syphilitic placenta is large, thick, and light in color. Weight is proportionately increased among other degenerative changes are cystic degeneration, calcareous degeneration, fatty degeneration, and hyaline degeneration. In calcareous degeneration, the calcareous material is deposited on the surface of the placenta, and occasionally it may be so abundant so as to give sensation of feeling of sandpaper to the finger. Placenta exudata. It is due to imperfect development of the decidua or excessive proliferation of chorionic epithelium. So the villi invade the underlying musculature or perforate through uterus, reaching the peritoneal surface. So the separation is impossible naturally or artificially. Tumors of the placenta. Chorioangioma. Chorioangioma is the commonest. It varies in size from a few millimeters in diameter to the size of a fetal head at term, and may be sessile or pedunculated. If it is large, it is associated with the hydramnios. It consists of enormously hypertrophied and dilated fetal blood vessels in the villi derived from single villus stem. It may give rise to difficulty in the first stage of labor. And now comes the anomalies of the umbilical cord. The normal length of the umbilical cord is 50 to 60 centimeters, but there is great variation. It may be very short or abnormally long, 50 to 100 centimeters. Rarely cord may be absent. Placenta directly connected to the surface of the liver as in exomphalos. Short cord may cause arrest the descent of fetus, pull the placenta, causing the premature separation or inversion of the uterus. Very long cord may cause presentation and prolapse of the cord. Knots and twists of the cord. Cord round the neck or body several times. When the cord is around the neck several times, causes deflection of the head, and occasionally the free length of the cord may be seriously diminished that it may interfere with labor. Also may cause fetal distress in utero. Insertion of the cord. Usually insertion is at center of placenta. Sometimes it may be at margin called back door placenta, or insertion may be into membranes. Here the vessels of the cord pass between the membranes for a greater or lesser distance before reaching the placenta. This is called Velmentous insertion of cord. If this flash of vessels happens to lie in the back of membranes in front of the os uteri, vasa previa rupture of the membranes may involve one of the vessels and may cause hemorrhage and death of the fetus. Knots of the cord formed within the movements of the fetus may be true or false. False knots are the result of a local increase of Wattonian jelly. A true knot is due to loop in the cord through which fetus is passed, getting tighter and tighter. As a rule, knots are harmless, but if obstruction is caused, it tends to interfere with the development of the fetus or may cause death of the fetus. Among the other anomalies of the cord are loop of the cord, torsion of the cord, where the cord becomes twisted and sometimes so seriously as to interfere with the circulation, inflammation of the cord, tumors of the cord, and anomalies of the vessels. There are no measures to diagnose or prevent such conditions. That's all about the anomalies of placenta and the cord. In the next video, I will discuss about some other diseases